This chapter we'll be talking about the teacher. More importantly, we'll be talking about you as a teacher. Within today's learning outcomes, we will be discussing the roles of a teacher, attitudes towards diversity, ethics, organizations, and begin to unfold who you are in the lives of children. Early childhood education. What is that? Well, early childhood is the lifespan between ages of 0 to 8 years old, from birth to 8 years old. Education in early childhood is the historical perspective within the field that centers around care and development with the ECE programs and towards the whole child's being, or total development. Research and theory evolves around who children are. Why are these terms or these titles important? Because it is important that we project ourselves as professionals throughout the field in early, many years, 15 to 20 years ago. Our field was not as respected as it is today. We were put in the category of babysitters that were just watching children, supervising them. Not to discredit babysitters in any type of a way, but when you become an early childhood professional, you are doing more than just supervising children. You are molding their whole being, mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, intellectually. You are molding together with families a total being. The first 5 years are the most vital. Children's brains are developing, and they're like sponges. They will absorb anything you put in front of them. Early childhood programs, there are many different kinds. There's child development centers, preschools, child care centers, pre-kindergarten, TK, family child care interaction programs. And then you have the children 5 to 8, which are, you have kindergarten through third grade, you have kindergarten through 6th grade for elementary, and then you have after school, before and after school programs. So there are many different types of early childhood programs. Now I'd like for you to close your eyes and think about the work that we do. What do you see in your mind when you think of a teacher of young children? Think about that. What is the teacher like that you're thinking about? What are some of the teacher's instructional practices? What is she doing? When working with children, there are many different types of endless challenges that educators go through. There's the planning and implementation, teaching, communicating with children and families, playing with children, which is their work, care for children's physical needs, their psychological and their security and their sense of wanting to, needing to feel comfort. The younger the child, the more nurturing and care is needed. Not to say that as they grow older, they do not need nurturing, but those first 5 years are really vital for them to feel a sense of security and belonging. You want to build relationships and partnership with families. There are day-to-day tasks, from planning to preparing, to creating an environment that is stimulating, exploring for children to want to discover, plan curriculum activities that will cause the light bulb to go. You'll be documenting, observing, which is what your DRDP's desired results are. And we'll talk a little bit more about those throughout our semester. But ultimately, you're working with families, you're working with colleagues, community agencies for the betterment of all children. That whole child is a concept that you have to grasp, because it's just not that intellectual part, but it's the whole thing of each individual. Now, what is DAP? Developmentally appropriate practice. As you watch this video, be prepared to think about and ask yourself, why is DAP so crucial and important? I'll see you in just a moment. Now, let's dig a little deeper with developmentally appropriate practices. DAP. First thing that comes to mind when you think about, is it age appropriate? Should a 1-year-old be writing? No. A 4 or 5-year-old should be writing or beginning to write. But a 1-year-old should not. But if a 1-year-old is, that's great. As long as they are not being forced by an adult or anyone else to write or to paint or to color with appropriate materials that are age appropriate for, that they're not putting it in their mouths and not sick behind it. It's not toxic, but it's age appropriate. Let's dig a little deeper. Individually appropriate. Well, Let's think about Ramona. Ramona may be a 4-year-old and is not able to write. But Karen is a 4-year-old that can. That's quite all right. You meet each child where they are, and you help to grow them as an educator to the best of their ability. That may be creating more intentional experiences in the classroom, having more materials available, introducing more materials, creating a puppet show that talks about the writing area and how exciting the writing area is and what's available in the writing area. Or creating sensory experiences that they just manipulating different types of, let's just say, I'll even say phonetics. And we're manipulating it, and we're taking our finger and maneuvering our finger throughout phonetics. Or you may be threading some Cheerios on some yarn, which is a fine motor pre-writing skill. In any event, you meet each child where they are. Not to compare them, but you help to grow them individually. Then there's cultural. Let's take this into consideration, this scenario. 2 3-year-olds are in the dramatic play area. First 3-year-old is putting her baby down to sleep, putting a blanket on her baby, and laying down next to her baby. The other 3-year-old may become upset and not want the blanket on the baby, nor for the baby to lay down, nor for the first 3-year-old to lay down with the baby. This could be in both families where it is not culturally acceptable. The first family, this may be culturally accepted, and this is what they do, and what the child is seeing in their environment, and it's a part of who they are. The second child's family may not lay down with the parent. The routine may not be to put a blanket. So we have to be able to respect and teach children to respect others. And this is when intentional teaching. At the end of the day, we teach. And intentional teaching is with purpose. There are specific goals that are set. A teacher has observed her classroom and the children within her classroom. And she notices that these 2 3-year-olds, for example, are in the dramatic play area and having quite a little conflict based upon possibly cultural differences. Well, this is where the teacher would begin to read stories in story time about different cultures, where she would have pictures throughout our classroom of all different cultures, where she would have different types of cultural materials to be able to educate and teach children at the end of the day to respect them. So it's not just ABCs and 1, 2, 3s that we're teaching. Colors. We're building that whole child, socially, emotionally, physically, intellectually. And in doing that, we're going to help to create and couple with families, human beings that are going to go out in society and make change for the better. As I said, there are 5 elements. In the middle, you can see the learning and development foundations, which are the preschool foundations. Then you see desired results assessment system, which are DRDPs, which throughout our semester, we will talk a little bit more about DRDPs. If you would like to really zone in and hone in on how to really dig deep with DRDPs, I encourage you to take the observation class. I have listed some links also for free sessions that you can learn more about DRDPs. But knowing from this class that it is an assessment, kind of like a progress report. Basically, that's what it is. Head Start does them 3 times a year. Average programs do them 2 times a year. And it's a progress report about where the child is, and it helps teachers to create lesson plans to help in environmental settings to help children reach their full potential. Within these elements, there's professional development, there's program guidelines and resources, and curriculum framework. Teacher educational practices. Pre-kindergarten is the focus of child development. Elementary focus is your general education, reading, science, math. When working with families, we have to be able to create a relationship that is helping to grow the whole family. A partnership. You want to be able to become a team. Being a team is when you're collaborating, you're working together. And you're working together for a common goal. So it's the parent, family, the teacher, your colleagues within your program coming together to help to mold this young being to the best of their ability. Early childhood educators today need to be familiar with learning foundations, information about designing a curriculum that addresses the standards. Identify if a teacher is being able to meet the standards of the foundations, the milestones, the benchmarks, helping the child to grow to the best of their ability. What makes a good teacher? Think about that. What makes a good teacher?
people can be successful at being a teacher. There are no right or wrong personality types or specific backgrounds. A good teacher has many different attributes: experience, attitude, knowledge, skills, being able to meet children where they are, to grow them to the best of who they are. Let's look at this video and see what makes a great teacher. Now look back at your best qualities that you wrote down in the beginning of our lecture. How does your list compare to what we just discussed? Not all teachers, or should I say, not all people are fit to be teachers. Throughout my years of teaching, I asked this question in every class. And there's probably been one or two who did not raise their hand, and that's okay. But think about this. Normally I have about 90% raise their hand, sometimes 99. Have you ever had a teacher that you felt should not be a teacher? For whatever reason. Think about the why. That you may have thought she should have not, or he should have not been a teacher, or that your siblings felt that they, experienced different things, your parents, your friends. Think about the why and what made them feel that that teacher should not be a teacher. Just think about that. We all have personality characteristics. We all have temperament, different types of temperament. Within this assignment, you will be completing a temperament chart. There are 3 pages that you'll complete. You can find it located within this module. Just click temperament assessment. I have provided for you an entire temperament assessment that you are only to do the adult section. There are 3 pages that I have listed. In addition to a multiple intelligence survey that you are to submit with this assignment. But those are things to think about: your temperament, your multiple intelligence, your values, your attitudes towards diversity, your self-knowledge and ability to reflect. Let's talk about temperament. An individual's behavioral style and characteristics way of responding. How do you respond? Now, the traits of a temperament are neither good or bad. They're just simply who you are, and they make up you, the wonderful person of you. Definitely something to think about. When looking at Thomas and Chase 9 dimensions of temperament, and this is in your book, there are 9 different temperaments. And being able to understand where you are and how you fit in the world of children. Again, this actually just gives you more information. You will have a graph that you will be completing with this assignment, that you will graph in either your colored marker, colored pencils, and just upload it with your assignment. Now there's multiple intelligence. Now I'd like for you to look at the video. And after the video, we'll talk a little bit more about it. Now that you know a little bit more about multiple intelligence and Howard Gardner's theory, he describes Intelligence as an ability to think and learn, as culturally defined based on what is needed within society. It's another tool to understand yourself, not to mention understanding children in the classroom. As you've seen within the video, there are 9 different types of intelligence. So it's not just logical and analytical. There are several different kinds of intelligence. And the young people within your classroom will have many of these different intelligences. Some more than others. Some a great deal more than just 1, 2, or 3. But being able to acknowledge the intelligence that they have is helping them to grow. If they're musical intelligence, ensuring that you have musical instruments. You see that a child is always humming, singing, really enjoys music time. Ensuring that you have that available within your environment because you want to grow that. You want to live that. Being able to have different types of plants. You may have children in your classroom that are naturalists. So having animals, bunny rabbits, birds, plants, fish within your environment to help to cultivate broad horizons. Now let's talk about values and morality. What are your beliefs? Or as young people say, what are your truths? What is your truth? Integrity. Values come from our family, culture, and life experiences. Let's have you look at this video now, and I'll see you. Morality involves the ability to make choices of right and wrong. I'm in a hurry to get to the store. Should I run this red light? Decisions. If I run the red light, I'm breaking the laws of the rules and the laws of the land. I could possibly get hurt into a car accident. I could possibly hurt someone else. Thinking about decisions. What's right? What's wrong? Now let's go look back at values. Make a list of your top 5 values. Is respect a top value? Openness a top value? Honesty a top value? Trust. Think about your top values. Attitudes towards diversity. In the climate that we are in today, it's very essential that we acknowledge people for who they are, accept who they are, and help to grow children to the best person that they can be. Regardless of their skin color, regardless of their family experiences, regardless of the type of clothing that they're wearing, accepting them for who they are and helping them to grow the best person. Biases. What are biases? Biases are an inclination to favor or reject certain individual groups, maybe based on the tendency to feel comfortable with those who are similar to us. They look different than I do, so I choose not to be with them. I'm a very tall lady, so I don't want to be with short people. That's looking at someone based upon and favoring someone based upon similarity. I am happy to be with tall, short, all types of people. I see people as human beings and not what a surface may bring. But I acknowledge who they are and appreciate who they are. I do see them and I do acknowledge them. Stereotypes. When one oversimplifies generalizations about a particular group, an unjustified fixed mental picture that is not based on direct experience, automatically assume things based on whatever your mind is right, whatever's been planted in your mind, but not treating them as a human being. There's already a preconceived thought, which is something we need to work on as a country. Prejudice. An opinion or feeling formed without adequate prior knowledge, thought, or reason against a person, group, or sex. It's real important as a teacher, as an educator, working in the field of child development, that you own your biases. Own them, grow from them, and work towards being a better you. We don't want to take our biases into the classroom and project them onto children. We want to grow them to the best of their ability, and we too want to grow to the best of our ability. Self-knowledge, the ability to reflect on the impact of life experiences. To thine own self be true. You bring your physical self to the field, but also your past, personality, gender, race, culture, family, values, morals, your life experiences. How can you use your early experiences in a positive way to work with children? The teacher as a professional. What is a profession? It's an occupation that provides an essential service to society. It's training, knowledge, the gatekeeper function that ensures only competent people practices, values, missions, standards, autonomy and self-regulation, code of ethics, NAEYC. We'll talk a little bit more about it. The teacher as a professional. What is a profession? It's an occupation that provides an essential service to society. You have training, knowledge, standards, values, missions, autonomy and self-regulation, and code of ethics, NAEYC. Who is a professional? Well, an individual who has received training, has personal skills and ability, serves a society, and has a commitment to the profession. employed, behaving collegiately, knowing legal and ethical responsibilities, all as a part of the profession. Earlier in the slides, I mentioned NAEYC. NAEYC are standards that, and there are 7, and I've listed all 7 here. Promoting child development, building family relationships, documenting, which is your DRPs, and notes. We talked about the best practice word that you've learned about, developmentally appropriate, using content and knowledge, becoming a professional, we've talked about that, and what a professional is. And we've talked about the early childhood field. As we go in NAEYC Code of Ethics. Code of Ethics were first used in 1989, and they have been updated every 5 years since. There are 4 categories that describe professional responsibilities. 2, children, families, colleagues, communities, and society. All of the Code of Ethics are vital and important. But a main point to always remember, above all else, early childhood educators should do no harm to children. In a ground class, I normally would pass out a background check that all adults wanting to work with children have to complete and pass in order to work with children. This means no felonies or no prior convictions. Misdemeanors possibly can be expunged, but felonies, you will not be able to work with children unless there are special circumstances. I like to mention this now because I have had adults in my class who have gone through teaching credentialing programs and have gone through all these classes at the 4-year, have taken my class to find out that they will not be able to be a teacher. No one told them throughout their educational career. I like to let you know now. It is something to think about. There have been circumstances where students, adults have been able to get their records expunged. But it also has a lot to do with what the actual accusations. Professional values and ethics are part of the Code of Ethics. Now I'd like for you to ponder on the thoughts that I have listed below. I have provided for you a copy of the Code of Ethics within this module. They also are available for you in the back of your textbook. Finding your path. Roles in early childhood. When working with children and families, it involves interaction and engagement on a day-to-day basis, working close proximity with children. finding your path, knowing if you have that temperament to be able to be with children, come to growth. The continuum of education, training, and certification. There's early childhood education, there's kindergarten, there's higher education. If you would like in early childhood education, there's infant and toddler programs, there's pre-kindergarten, before and after school care, mixed age family child care. To teach, you must possess 12 ECE in some programs. Okay? If you're working for a start, state funded program, depending on the private program, and what their criteria and their expectations are. You have to start 12 early childhood education. If you would like to work in elementary school, if you would like to work in elementary school, which is K-6, middle school, or high school, you would need to have a Bachelor of Art or a Bachelor of Science and a teaching. They have a multiple subject credential, which is all grades, K through 6th grade. You would have a single subject credential, which may be English, math, science, which many people do for high school. We'll talk more about careers in child development in later sessions. So we will have more about different criteria and certifications. To teach in higher education, you would need to stay a college professor. You would need a master's degree or a PhD. That's like 4-year and years from now. Roles and responsibilities in training. In your home, family child care programs, you need to have first aid and CPR. You do not have to have child development classes as of yet, but the more you are able to know about the development of the whole child, the better it is for you and for those children provide care for. For centers, depending on the position, from an assistant teacher to a teacher to a director, there are different levels of education and training that you have to have. And then, of course, elementary school, as I said before, a bachelor's degree and a teaching. Stages of professional development. Lily and Cass. Enormous amount on stages. Stage 1, you're surviving. At your first year of teaching, you are learning how using the information acquired in school and life experiences. Then there's that stage 2. You're honing in on the craft, bringing forth personal approach. Then there's stage 3, which is the renewal. After you've worked for about 3 to 5 years, created your craft, but you're kind of rejuvenated. And growing and learning, attending workshops and seminars to help to grow you higher. Then there's maturity, which is after about 5 years, you know, values and theories that goes on. And at this point, you are creating your own, you're bringing everything into your own approach, how you have explored and discovered, come to the conclusion of how your children grow within the environment that you're working for, and you are just constantly evolving. This is another lens to view the stages of development. At survival stage, consolidation, acquiring consultants and colleagues, at stage of renewal, taking more classes, or going to conferences, and then you're at the trip, where possibly you finish a degree, possibly you've written some books or some journals, or created actual documents within your own program that helps to exemplify how children learn, the work that you have done. Now it's time for your homework. Review your notes from today's lecture, which will definitely help you with your assignment. In discussion 1, under the discussion link, read chapters 1 and 2. In Canvas, I have provided for you the ECE competence video, which will also help you with your assignment. Begin to work on assignment 1. Don't let it get ahead of you. It's 4 chapters. We've gone over the first chapter. We will continue with the next 3, but begin. Make sure you have each question with each answer. So as you download it into your computer, questions will all come up in the Word document, and then just write the answer right underneath the question. Remember to turn in your temperament assessment and multiple intelligence survey. That is also within this. This is all about you, and just do the best that you can. There's no right or wrong. Welcome to ECE 300. I look forward to working